Test, test, 1, 2, 3, mic check, 1, 2, 3, mic check, 1, 2, 3, mic check, 1, 2, 3. Are you guys good? Are you guys good?
Testing 1, 2, 3. How's everybody doing? I don't know if that vibration is loud enough. How's everybody doing? All right, I think I hear y'all out there. How many people are excited about Brandon Scott for mayor? Denise, I'm gonna do this one more time. How many people are excited about Brandon Scott for mayor? That's what I wanted to hear. You all, my name is Corey McCray. I'm the Maryland State Senator for the 45th Legislative District, and I got the proud, distinct honor to be able to announce a number of the elected officials that are joining us. So if you hear their name, can you give them a round of applause? I'm going to start with County Executive Stuart Pittman, all the way from Anne Arundel County. And County Executive Pittman, they don't just come from Anne Arundel County, but we also have Senator Arthur Ellis all the way from Charles County. And then we have a number of our state reps. We have Delegate Kayla Young. Can we get a round of applause all the way from East Baltimore? And I believe that we're in his house, but I want to say Delegate Malcolm Ruff in the 41st Legislative District. Now I'm going to go to these council folks. I'm going to start with who house we in. Can we give a round of applause for Councilman James Torrance? And Councilman Torrance let me know that we are a rock throw away from Councilman Christopher Burnett's the 8th District. Can we also give a round of applause for our councilman from the 3rd Councilmatic District, Ryan Dorsey? And I got a little bit of bias, y'all. Can we give a round of applause all the way from Northeast Baltimore to Councilwoman Danielle McCray? Just a little bit. So then we got a number of organizations. I'm going to wait for this green because I see all this green up ahead. So I know that we have 32BJ in the House supporting Brandon Scott for mayor. We have the painters, we have the firefighters, we have Lyona. If I see you, if you're in the house, let me hear you say yeah. Then as I see all this green, if you see that power, that green power, what do they say? They call him AFSCME. I think AFSCME's in the house. Let me know if you're in here. But you all, as I'm losing my voice, I just wanted to say thank you for coming out for my brother, for my friend, my mayor, Brandon Scott. This is so important for the city of Baltimore right now, and let me be clear that he would not be able to do it without you all here today. As I watch my mayor travel this journey, I'm so humbled, I'm so honored to be able to see it in real time. See it in real time because he's not just leading, but he's leading for our generation, George. When I think about every grandmother, every mother, every auntie, every uncle can see their self, can see their son, can see their nephew, can see their grandson in Brandon Scott. He is leading for my generation, and let's give him a round of applause. And you know, leadership is not easy. Leadership is not easy because there are a number of distractions and you have to stay focused, a laser focus in order to get to the target, in order to get to the goal. So as we stand here, this is a clear example of what leadership looked like. When we think about Cahill and the Cahill being renovated under the leadership of Brandon Scott, this is what our young folks deserve. And as we've seen this, I know that this is not just happening over here in Northwest Baltimore, but we got it happening right there in East Baltimore because we did the same thing with a ribbon cutting for Madison. We're doing the same thing over there for Hazelwood. We're doing the same thing for Chick-Webb. Right there across our city, our mayor is leading for our young folks, but he does not stop there. When we think about that public safety aspect and we think about one of the first times that we'll be able to see this city under 300, let me be clear that that happened under the leadership of Mayor Brandon Scott. And you see, Malcolm, you can get it done with the extracurricular activities, you can get it done from a public safety standpoint, but education also plays a role in reference to that leadership. When we think about the blueprint for Maryland's future, And we think about all those leaders that had to come down and make that case for why our young folks that are living in poverty, why our ESOL students, why our teachers need to be paid. You saw that Brandon Scott was right there on the front lines. So I say, as we all collectively come here together, I get excited about talking about my mayor. I get really excited about talking about my mayor, but it's 5 other people that can do it a lot better than me. It's 5 other folks that can do it a lot better than me, and I got the proud, distinct honor to announce the next person that's coming up. Ms. Ryan Hargrave, can you tell us why we should be electing Brandon Scott to be continuing as our next mayor for the city of Baltimore? Thank you, Ryan. Please come up.
Hello, everyone, and welcome. I'm Ryan Hargrave, and I wear a few different hats, but the context of today is as the founder of Onyx Development, a real estate development company based here in Baltimore. So I'd like to start with a personal story of Mayor Scott. I'll call him Brandon a few times today, but that I think really depicts his character. So I started a back-to-school drive a couple years ago, and it was our 2nd annual. And the week of the drive, I run into Brandon at the YMCA at Waverly. And I said, hey, I know you're probably busy, but we're doing this event Friday. I'd love to have you come. And he said, just text it to me. I'll be there. And, halfway through the event, I see a black truck, and I see Brandon coming out of the truck. And it meant so much to me because I didn't go through some process of reaching out, no offense to, chief of staff and protocol, but it was a simple request. He said he would be there, and he showed up. And that's what I think he's continued to do all these years. Brandon and I are both children of Baltimore. Born and raised here, we have seen vacants plague our neighborhoods for far too long. My grandmother is here, and she talks about a Baltimore, and I'm sure Brandon's family and so many of you as well, talk about a Baltimore that is different from what we know it as today. It's something that was not plagued with crime. It wasn't riddled with vacants and trash and carjackings and et cetera. When I think about that Baltimore, I know that the crime is directly related to the vacants. I was recently informed that under Mayor Scott's administration, we have the lowest amount of vacants that we've had in over a decade, and that deserves applause. And while that is amazing to have that number under 14,000, myself and Mayor Scott know that that's still an unacceptable number, and he's committed to changing that. I visited Impact Hub last week. They have this exhibit called Undesigned, the Red Line, so I'm going to refer to that. But being a developer, it's not easy at all, especially with these vacants that have been vacant for decades. So it takes a ton of coordination with Baltimore City leadership and DHCD. There are so many times that I've called on Brandon and Marvin, too many times to count, and they've always been willing to give an ear, offer assistance, connect me to who I need to be connected to, and just provide overall guidance. Even when Brandon and I are on opposite sides of the table, he's still done his part to listen, to understand, and to come up with solutions. I recently had a meeting with him and the build team where it was a little bit of miscommunication during the meeting. And afterwards, Brandon's team reached out to us, and the next day we had another meeting because Brandon was like, I don't really like the way that ended. I want to understand where you all are coming from. It doesn't need to be anything heated or contentious, but let's all come together and find the middle ground. And I thought that's also extremely rare for a politician to circle back and make time in his busy schedule to make sure that all parties leave the table with understanding. The work that he's done with the build team and GBC really deserves to be mentioned and to be applauded. Brandon has committed billions with a B to work with GBC to eradicate the vacant housing crisis and to take that to Annapolis in the 2024 session. As a result of that, he's also reached out to a small group of developers such as myself to have quarterly meetings to understand what our plights are. We are a small group. We are not the big names that you see driving around the city, but he wants to understand what our issues are, and that also speaks volume to his character. While unraveling the red line that started in Baltimore will take decades, those of us close to the issue know that it was Mayor Scott's administration that are making the financial commitments that will outlast any mayoral term. I was honored when asked to come and speak about my experience with the mayor. His commitment to change the narrative of Baltimore City, to undesign the red line, and create a Baltimore that is habitable and thriving for all residents is something I know to be true. But most of you all know that already, or else you probably wouldn't be in this room. Join me and Mayor Scott in our work in setting Baltimore on a path to prosperity.
Hi, everyone. Okay. As you can see, I'm Latina. I'm from Mexico. So I'm going to start. I'm not going to talk that much, not because I don't want to, it's just because we don't have enough time. But I'm going to start saying that I'm from Mexico City. I've been living here for about 17 years. Because I'm a single mother and because of my situation, I had the opportunity to be in a different states, so I can tell you from the bottom of my heart that this is my city. This is Baltimore City is the best, and this is my kids' city. At the beginning, I didn't like it because I'm from Mexico City, you know, noisy, a lot of things. Most of the time, it's 24 hours living city. So I didn't like it. But then I noticed that there is a lot of opportunities. And 4 years ago, I met Brandon Scott. Why we have to re-elect Mayor Brandon Scott? Because of this. So one day, I also saw him in I like to be in many Latino organizations, helping my community. So one day, I saw him. And I introduced myself, and I said, my name is Lucia Islas, and I like to work for my community. Please, can you help me? And he said, yes, count on me. And I said, but really? Because sometimes they say, yes, but then when you call them, they never answer. But guess what? He did. He answered to me, and since then, all the time that I need something, I reach with his team, or he only tells me where should I go, but I always have an answer. So I'm so happy for that. I'm doing slow, so I want to say, I don't want to miss nothing. The work that he's doing along with all this team is excellent. From the jobs from the youth during the summer, the opening of new centers, all the help he gave us during the pandemic, especially with me, with my community. We have food distribution since then, and we haven't stopped. Also with all the resources such as the rental program assistance or some other needs such as water, electricity, accepting that there are more bilingual people so that immigrants can get ahead. The help he given when we are the first-time buyers, this is something that I love it because finally my community can get access to buy their own house. And this is very important for me, my community. Another thing that he told me when I spoke with him was, I know what you're going through. It is very difficult. Those are difficult times. And he said that he felt the same for his community. So that made me feel very, very near to him. So he knows what we feel. I think he has created many resources of help along with his team. Now I work in a place, I am a case manager, and I help my community to apply for the OHEP, water, SNAP, WIC, all the resources that this city, this beautiful city, I want to emphasize, I want to highlight, this is a beautiful city. I work as a case manager, as I was saying, and Mayor Scott has welcomed the immigrants community with open arms. And we are grateful for his leadership, and I'm so happy to support him. And I want just to say again, thank you, Brandon Scott, and I love Baltimore City. Thank you so much.
Hello, my name's Gwen Levi, Baltimorean, Walbrook Junction, Cahill Rec. My family, who was raised here in Cahill Rec, are present today. But I want to talk to you about who I really am, who I was. I'm a returning citizen. After serving 16 years of a 400-month sentence in the federal and state institutions, I was returned back to Baltimore in 2020. I came to the mayor's attention when I was sent back to prison for taking a computer class, because when I came home, I didn't have those skills. I didn't know how to navigate on the telephone. I didn't know how to navigate on to even fill out an application online. I was on home confinement. I got approval, thought that they would send me to their computer classes, but they didn't. I was told that because I was on home confinement, I wouldn't be able to go to the halfway house computer classes. But guess what? There were organizations out here in our neighborhood, Maryland Justice Project, Out for Justice, local organizations that help returning citizens, that make sure that when we come back to our community, we have those resources. Those organizations, one of them helped up and started a computer literacy program. That program still goes on today. And what happened is, I thought I had gotten approval to go to this program. I went to a couple classes, everything worked fine. But guess what? They called and I didn't answer the phone. And guess who got sent back to prison? Yeah, I got sent back. But that brought me to the mayor's attention, because those same organizations, they went and lobbied out for me. They went out and they made it a media spectacle. And they had free Gwen Levi signs all over. And guess who called? The mayor. Ms. Levi, what can we do? And he did. He helped me fill out my first resume. After I got out, he contacted me. Those organizations, like I said, they worked hard to get me out. And when I did, the mayor's office contacted me and said, Ms. Levi, what can we do? They helped me fill out my resume. Long story short, I ended up getting a job with the Ena Pratt Library. I am now an outreach coordinator. I do outreach. I connect community organizations with the Pratt Library, with each other, to make sure that those of us returning home, and we do return home, we do come back home. The majority of us come back home. So I make sure that those resources that are available in our city, and the mayor has plenty of those resources available. He has programs that go back into the institutions. He has programs that make sure that we have the resources that we need. And he's working hard to make sure that our community allows us to come back home and be resourceful, be a benefit to our community. So I am here today to say that our mayor believes in making sure that when we return home, we have the resources that we need. We just did a resource fair. It was awesome for returning citizens. We're now going into the institutions and bringing programs there so that people know before they come home what's available to them. And I just want to say thank you to Brandon Scott, thank you to Mayor Scott and his staff, to everybody who's working hard to bring those programs so that when we return home, there will not be an obstacle in our way like it was for me. You know, and I appreciate all that he's doing. Thank you.
Hey, how you doing today? My name is Cameron Brown. I'm 21. I grew up from the east side of Baltimore. This is my first time doing this, so bear with me. I was a squeegee kid. I'm gonna say that first and foremost. I was a squeegee kid, turned into a leader. So that's how my story started, basically. Thank you. So basically, my journey with Brandon was because he caught me on a journey of trying to get myself together, leaving the streets alone, trying to be a leader to the youth below me. I'm 21. So I got to set an example and show them that I'm the man to be. And basically, I was told how to be more family-oriented. I would show like how to show love and give grace to people when they really don't understand you. So that being a squeegee kid, I got to go through that a lot, giving the grace of people so they can understand me. When people look at me outside of this, I know I got a suit on and everything, but outside of this, people look at me, it was like, all right, that's the average kid, street guy, whatever the case may be. But when I speak, everybody's eyes light up. That's a good feeling because it's like it took the time to go ahead and get myself together. I went back to school, graduated. Yeah. And it was all off of the fact of what he went through. You know, you got negative press. You got negative people that's going to put the image out like it's a bad person. But no matter what, he still was standing, still doing business of what he was doing. He for the youth, I can say that. I was a squeegee kid since I was 16. So on the journey of everything and him coming through and still showing me love, think about it. It's like a kid in New York City. You don't get love from the big office guys. He showed me love off camera. It wasn't just to show love and because it was to make him look good. He showed me love off camera. Dropped some gems that I'm still running with to this day. That's why I'm here. Like I said, I came over obstacles that I never thought I could come over. He went to school up the street from me, Mayoral, right? So it's just like growing up in that neighborhood of where I'm from, Harford Road. It was not easy. It was hard. I ain't really had money, but that didn't stop me. I'm working at John Hopkins right now. I'm part of elite security. Yeah. So from everywhere I started, and then I wouldn't have this. It was because of a guy named Mr. Darn and Mr. Rick. That's how I started. That's how I got here. That's why I'm here. That's how I got this energy. That's how I walk, how I talk, how I move, how I move. I speak for the youth. I speak for the squeegee kids. I speak for Moam. And Moam, that's the African engagement. Us. We here for us. That's all I can really say. I really didn't have much to say. It's because I really wanted to get y'all the real me. I didn't want to sit here and write nothing down on no paper or nothing. I just wanted to give like me. I'm a product of an environment where nobody thought we would make it, but we here. And think about it, Brandon did it too. I'm doing it now. So we trying to continue to do it to the people after me. Thank you, guys.
Good afternoon. My name is Patrick Daniels, and I'm the Director of Speech and Debate and a teacher at Baltimore City College. Now, I know it probably took a lot for Brandon and his staff to call me up here because of his love for Mervo, but he remembers when we were there together. In my day job, I just finished a unit called Occasion Speeches. The kids right now are being asked to finalize their Thanksgiving speeches, but last week they were doing introduction speeches. And while we're in the middle of that, I get a phone call saying, can you come up here and introduce our mayor, Brandon Scott? Please be easy on the grading. In high school, Brandon was fast, not just on the track. He was quick-witted in the hallway, quick-minded in the classroom, insightful, and he was always about what we can do together. He was willing to stand up for injustice then, and it worked. It turned him into a teaching assistant, guiding his classmates through difficult readings. He was helping people learn how to write better. Honestly, I thought he would have been a teacher. I thought he had that gift. Because to be an educator, you have to have integrity, honesty in action and in word. The kids, they can see a phony. Brandon Scott is the real deal. Brandon is about service. He serves our city. It is his calling. One day, I needed to find a track program for my son. Who did I call? I called Brandon. When my boys wanted to play football, another call, this one to Councilman Brandon. And they still brag about his arm. They still talk about it. And I think on Thursday, when I saw Lamar go down, I think Brandon was suiting up. He was ready to take over. My toilet was leaking. Now, this is like a real thing that happens to people. My toilet was leaking. We went away on vacation. I came back. I had a massive bill. I called up, I sent emails, I sent phone calls. Finally, I'm like, you know what? I'm going to call Brandon Scott. Now, he didn't fix the problem. What he did was he walked me through the process that's there for all of us, for all the citizens, so that we can get we got it, fix your toilet, and you're good. And they gave me a forgiveness on that. He leads from the front. He shows us how to do it. As a teacher for 25 years, I've heard a lot of talk from City Hall about education being a priority, but never have I seen a mayor show up the way Mayor Scott does. He is everywhere. Schools, sporting events, graduations, you name it. You turn around, he's there. Brandon understands from his own experience about the critical importance of being there for our kids, of being visible. That's why his office has increased funding for city schools to the largest level in history. You heard earlier from Cameron about the importance of mentorship, because Brandon understands the importance of mentorship. When he was at Mervo, he was a mentor. From then on, he just continued that because he still mentors the young people of Baltimore. It doesn't matter that he's the mayor. He understands that it's that one-to-one connection that's going to really solve the problems here. He's a role model. He is the face of the possibilities of this city. And we need to continue to have a mayor that believes in our children and has the strength and political will to follow through on his commitments. He is willing to walk the walk, which is a rarity in politics today. On a side note, Brandon Scott's also very compassionate. When my colleague, and without a doubt, Brandon's favorite teacher, she should be the one up here, when she passed away last year, he was sitting by there, sitting next to me, comforting the rest of his classmates as we dealt with that loss, that tragic loss. And because he understands the power of the collective, he understands that we have to do this together. Mayor Scott is not the exception. He is the rule. Products of Baltimore City do great things all of the time. My students are all around this room doing wonderful things. We need a mayor who believes that our children are the rule. We need a mayor that believes that our children can go out there and do these wonderful things. And he's willing to put in that work. And we talked about this already, but Brandon realizes that our children need rec centers. So he opened up 4 of them. It's got connections with youth sports, Volo, kids getting engaged, the pools are filled. The kids are out there lifeguarding. And that brings me to my next point, which is about my students. My students need opportunities. They need jobs in the summertime. And every single teen that I know that wanted a job last summer got one. Thanks to the investment of Mayor Scott. When he wants to get something done, it gets done. Brandon Scott is us. The lovers of Baltimore that want to make this great city even better. Brandon Scott is us. Those who, when they see a piece of trash on the ground, choose to pick it up. He gets dirty for our city. He gets dirty for us. His leadership for the people of Baltimore is unparalleled. Thank you, Mayor, for being a leader that we can always look towards. Mayor Scott is the face of the hope of our city. He is the face of possibility. He is the face of action. And Mayor Scott is just getting started. Please join me in welcoming my former student, my friend, Mayor Brandon Scott.
We are going to make it. Good afternoon, Baltimore. Good afternoon, Baltimore. It is so great to be joined here today by so many familiar faces, good friends, incredible partners from all across this city that we all love, the greatest city in America, Baltimore City. I want to say a big thank you to the community leaders and elected leaders who have already spoken today. They represent exactly the kind of community leadership and partnership that has helped us come this far already. To Ryan, Lucia, Miss Gwen, Carmen, my brother, Senator Corey McCray, and my teacher, Mr. Daniels, thank you. And Mr. Daniels, thank you for that wonderful introduction and for being a powerful reminder of the impact our educators have on our young people. I know that Miss H is in this room and that she is very proud of both of us. And we're going to keep fighting, Mr. Daniels, fighting hard to bring even more investments into our schools and teachers like you so that we can make sure that our young people grow into the best version of themselves. We also have so many of our union friends here. I see Ashmi's in the house today. I see the firefighters in the house today. I know Launa is in the house today. I heard 32BJ was in the house today. And to my fellow elected officials, I know we've been joined by Councilwoman Porter and Councilman Glover since the Senator recognized them. Thank you all. You know better than anyone that this work is not easy. The hours are double long. The blame comes much faster than the praise, but that's not why we do it. We do it because we care. And thanks to so many of you and your efforts, Baltimore is leading in the right direction. And last, but definitely not least, my family, my mother, my father, my brother, my aunt, my uncles, and cousins, thank you all for being a constant source of love, tough Scott love, by the way, inspiration. Thank you all for raising me right and keeping me grounded, especially on the hardest days of the job. I love you all. To Hannah, my partner, thank you for your unconditional love, support, and for making it possible for me in a short few weeks to have the greatest title in the world, that one of father. Baby, I love you very much. I'm here because I'm a son of Park Heights, which for me and young men who look like me means having been exposed to both the best and the worst that this city has to offer. My family is quintessentially Baltimore and quintessentially Park Heights. My dad works at our family small business, working with his hands, living, building, and putting in HVAC systems. My mom is a UCFW union worker at Giant Food on Ricestown Road, serving our community. They represent the backbone of Baltimore. They are good and decent people and hard workers who raised me to be that way. We weren't wealthy by any stretch of the imagination, but we were far better off than so many of my neighbors, classmates, and friends. All of us who were forced to contend with a city that wasn't doing enough to support us and seemed to have written us all off because we were young and black from Baltimore. They all, you all, we all deserve a city and a city government that is good, honest, and hardworking as they are and as those of you in this very room. Many of you might already know the story about how I came into public service. I witnessed my first shooting before I was 10 years old. I was scared, traumatized, heartbroken, but most of all, I was in disbelief that they just wanted us to go back to school the next day like nothing happened, that no one came to check on us, no one came to say if we were okay in our community. Just simply seemed that no one cared. And I asked my mom why, over and over again. I asked my dad too, but I won't tell y'all why I didn't ask him more than once. Why did we have to deal with so much death and trauma in our community? And she looked at me and said in that loving, blunt way that only moms can do, especially when they want you to shut up because you asked the same question 100 times, that if I wanted something to change, that I would have to change it, because no one was going to do it for me or for our neighborhood. So that's exactly what I did. I went to school every day and worked hard And the moment I graduated, I came back here to Baltimore to go to work in our community. I didn't enter public service because I was interested in politics. I did it because I know there was work to be done. Work to be done so that the people of Baltimore could be seen. I watched so many good people do great things in Baltimore despite what seemed like insurmountable odds. That was nearly 17 years ago, and I spent every second of my life since in service to our city. For 17 years, as everything from an intern, community liaison, staffer in the mayor's office, rec and park, city councilman, council president, and eventually to mayor, I worked in every way I possibly could to fight for this city. I did it that way because I wanted to make sure future generations could have it much better than I did. Growing up, my parents gave me everything they could. And while it wasn't much, their love was more than enough. And yet, I still lived through the very real consequences of decades of purposeful disinvestment in our neighborhoods. I still walk by vacant houses on my way to and from school every day. I still witness violence every day. I was still stopped and sat down on curbs in handcuffs by police simply for the crime of being black and outside. And as a young black man from Baltimore, I had been told over and over and over again by some that success wasn't for us. Change wasn't for us. Real leadership positions and opportunity wasn't for us. Nothing except handcuffs, a trip to central booking, and ultimately a trip to the morgue was for us. I knew that wasn't true and wanted to dedicate my life to proving those people wrong. I came to City Hall as a staffer to embody the change I wanted to see in city government. I wanted to make city government as good, honest, and hardworking as my parents and all of you are. And all of you taught all of us to be in Baltimore. And it was with that same desire that 3 years ago, I launched my campaign for mayor to take those very values to the top job in Baltimore. I launched a campaign about generational change, with a deeply held understanding that the old ways weren't working fast enough or at all to move Baltimore forward. I didn't want to keep waiting and wondering how long it was going to take to change the trajectory of our city. Waiting and wondering how long it was going to take to fully fund our schools. Waiting and wondering how long it was going to take to get serious about tackling the vacant housing crisis. Waiting and wondering how long it's going to take to start building, opening, and renovating rec centers rather than shutting them down. Waiting and wondering how long it's going to take to listen to our young people about what they wanted to do and how they wanted to be engaged. Waiting and wondering how long it's going to take City Hall to understand that simply locking up any and everybody didn't work. It was a failed policy, and we had to get smarter and serious about making our neighborhoods safer by focusing on those who were committing the violence, not everyone that has black skin color. We ran our campaign on the idea that we had waited long enough for the old way to work, and it was time for the new generation to take the reins. And Baltimore agreed. And when I was elected, I made it my mission to pave a new way forward for Baltimore with those ideas at heart. A path that emphasizes equity, invests in our communities, and deploys data-driven public safety strategies to treat violence as a disease we all know it is. In essence, we had to change the way we did things. But that task, changing the things that we need to change, was never going to be easy, but especially so during the time when I took office. When I took office, the world was reeling from a global pandemic, the likes of which no previous mayor and hopefully none after me will ever have to contend with. And to be quite frank, many wondered if the world itself was on the brink. Also, violence was stubbornly high, as we grapple with more than 330 homicides and 720 non-fatal shootings. We had been stuck around 16,000 vacant properties in Baltimore for 20 years, and city government was in shambles. Aside from the obvious leadership changes and scandals, there was no weekly trash or recycling pickup. Timesheets were still being done by hand in 2020, and there was no cohesive vision to professionalize city government. Tackling those issues required a brand new approach, one that no city government had ever undertaken, and we took that challenge head on. And even though we were building the plane while we were flying it, and despite having plenty of a ways to go, we have made significant progress. We flipped the way Baltimore looks at public safety on its head, and we're seeing the results. We developed Baltimore's, for that, yes. We developed Baltimore's first ever comprehensive violence prevention plan and launched our group violence reduction strategy, expanded victim services and continued reforming the police department, invested historic levels of investment into community-based violence intervention programs. And as I stand before you today, we have a 20% reduction in homicides in the city of Baltimore. A 9% reduction in non-fatal shootings, and Baltimore, not me, we are on the track for the first time in 9 years to be under 300 murders in Baltimore City. But we didn't stop there. We're making record investments into the success of Baltimore's young people, and we're also seeing the results. Opening and renovating world-class rec centers in neighborhoods that had gone without or with crumbling facilities for decades and years. From right here at Cahill to Middle Branch in Cherry Hill to reopening Boat Check in East Baltimore, my childhood rec center of Towanda in Park Heights, and soon to be brand new rec centers at Chick Webb, Parkview, Gardenville, South Baltimore, and many, many more. Providing comprehensive programming that listens to young people about what they want to do through Be More this summer, and expanding Youth Works to be year-round for some. Tackling the decades, 40-year-old problem of squeegeeing by providing young people with the real alternatives and connecting them with the services they need. I know y'all remember that. I know you remember every single night hearing about squeegee, 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 squeegee. When's the last time you heard it? Because those young people are connected. We're putting our arms around them. We're loving them and showing them, solving an issue that has existed for far too long in Baltimore. And we made the largest investment into the education system of Baltimore in our city's history. Because when you're talking about our young people, when we say that they're our greatest asset, you have to put your money where your mouth is. We're working to strengthen all of Baltimore's neighborhoods, and we're seeing the results. Fostering opportunities for home ownership and working to bridge the racial wealth gap in Baltimore's middle neighborhoods. Investing $100 million toward addressing blight and facilitating new development in historically red-line neighborhoods like Uplands, Park Heights, Johnson Square, and Coldstream Homestead, Montebello, and helping residents who have lived in our city through thick and thin stay in their homes by removing owner-occupied homes from the tax sale and investing $16 million toward repairs for legacy homeowners, which particularly help our older adults age in place in their home with the dignity they deserve. But we didn't stop there. We worked hard every day, and we now have the vacancies in Baltimore at their lowest in over 20 years. With under 200 of them being owned by the city, just for a personal point of privilege. We've moved to bring city government into the 21st century, and we're seeing the results. Getting our frontline workers GPS to use something other than paper masks as they had been for many years. expanding the way that we utilize data beyond policing to more efficiently deliver every city service, and reforming our outdated procurement and permitting systems. But we're also creating opportunity in every corner of our city, and we're seeing the results. We've laid the groundwork for more than $6.5 billion in investments to flow into Baltimore over the next decade, moving projects that have been sitting, languished, and talked about for generations forward. CFG Bank Arena, brand new, renovated, zero cost to the taxpayers. Lexington Market, brand new. And finally, getting the Inner Harbor out of the hands of folks who were not even from this country and into the hands of a boy from West Baltimore to make sure that we build a new harbor place for all. Making increased investments in small and minority business across the city through our Main Streets program, supporting the Mayor's Office of Employment Development's work, lowering systemic barriers to working for the city, and providing incentives to Baltimoreans to fill the jobs that our cities need, like truck drivers. And through it all, Baltimore, we reached the lowest unemployment rate in our city's history, getting it down to 2.4%. Because I want to be very clear. The old ways had failed to look at the bigger picture, chasing after whatever pet project or politically expedient answer was right in front of them. But none, not a single one of our challenges exists independently. They're all interconnected. Only by creating and acting on a comprehensive vision can we, as a city, as a village, make a difference. Overcoming the decades of disinvestment isn't something that we can do overnight, but we're setting a vision for Baltimore's future, a vision that focuses on actually solving issues, not just kicking them down the can or slapping a Band-Aid on them, a vision that invests and believes in people, a vision that puts the people of Baltimore above all, including oneself. But change is hard, and change is often fragile. And Baltimore, once again, has a choice to make about whether we will continue on the sustainable path forward or if we will go back to the broken ways and the failed leadership of the past. And now that we are officially in campaign season, you all are going to hear a lot of talk about the past, taking Baltimore back to the good old days. I call them the Make Baltimore Great Again crowd. When these candidates start talking about the past and wanting to take us back there, we have to make sure that we ask ourselves, well, what exactly do they want to take us back to? Do they want to take us back to the days when we were closing rec centers instead of opening new ones? Is that what they mean? Do they want to take us back to the days when we didn't make record investments into our schools and our young people? Is that what they mean? Back to the days when we closed fire stations because we needed to balance the budget. Is that what we mean? Do they want us to go back to the days that when we not only had crime, but the community's trust in law enforcement was broken because we embraced failed promises and broken strategies that painted an entire race of people in a city as criminal? Do they really think that those days were the good old days? Or maybe they mean we should go back to the days when our political leaders acted as though what is done in the light will not come, dark will not come to the light. When they thought they could violate our trust because they thought eventually they wouldn't get caught, putting their personal gain ahead of Baltimore's public's trust. Does that sound like something worth going back to you? Remember, those were the days when a Democratic president of the United States wouldn't even meet with the mayor of Baltimore because of all the corruption in our city. Today's leadership is welcome and praised by the White House, and those relationships are important. Because it helps us expand on the records investments we've been making ourselves. I don't know exactly what it is that they think we should be going back to, but I do know what this campaign, our campaign, will be about. We will be a campaign focused on the future because we understand how fragile change is. We understand that our success is in finishing so much of what we have started these past 3 years, and it depends on our ability to keep pressing forward during the good times and the bad times. We understand that not every problem can be solved overnight, but when you remain steadfast and true to Baltimore's people, slowly those little changes add up to big progress for our city. That's how we got to those record investments in our public schools and our youth. That's how we got the lowest rate of vacancy in Baltimore in 20 years. That's how we've got crime going down in Baltimore and partnership with the community going up. That's how we've taken more than 7,500 illegal guns off our city streets, and that's how we brought investment and a strong economy to Baltimore, all while weathering a global pandemic. And it's how we've achieved that lowest unemployment rate in Baltimore's history. The change that we realize today is because we have said, Baltimore has said that the old ways weren't working. Because we've said that the failures and corruption of the past don't have to deny Baltimore the promise of a bright future. My track coaches at Mayoral, Coach Hendricks and Neal, taught us that winning is a mindset. It demands more than physical ability. It takes discipline, tenacity, and mental fortitude to overcome every barrier. And while we were winning, sorry to all the other city schools, while we were winning every week, we were also taught a very important thing, that your relay was only as good as your weakest leg. You had to bring everyone along because victory cannot be celebrated alone. Baltimore, our city, stands at a precipice. We must continue on the path of progress, the path that will continue to build Baltimore's renaissance and our collective vision for Baltimore's future. And we must do it the right way. I'm standing here surrounded by my family, and everything that I've done, everything I've done in a way that I know they could be proud of, and in a way I know that my grandparents, one set who worked their entire lives on a farm back in North Carolina until they died, that they could be proud of. And the way that my grandfather, a retired General Motors worker who lives in Hamilton like me, is proud of every day. And the way that my grandma, who was standing behind me the last time I announced my cane for 3 years ago, would be proud of. The way that each and every one of you in this room can be proud of. No scandals, no corruption, because doing things the right way still must matter. Our young people have to be able to look at us as role models and know that, yes, doing things the right way with honesty and integrity matters today, tomorrow, and forever. Baltimore deserves nothing less. We cannot turn back, and that's why I am running for re-election to continue to be the mayor of Baltimore City. Our great city and the residents who call it home, from Park Heights to Cherry Hill, Emerson Village to Oliver, Hamilton to Hamden, deserve a mayor who is going to do the right thing, not just sometimes, not just when they think no one is looking, but every single solitary time, even when it's not popular, even when it will hurt their political career, even when folks will be yelling and screaming and calling you everything but the name your mama gave you. A mayor that will keep investing in our young people's success, investing in all of our neighborhoods, not just downtown or Harbor East, ensuring our police department continues down the path of reform, not bringing us back to the days of the dark ages when black people were arrested for no more than just being black. A mayor who fights every day for all of Baltimore. We have laid the foundation for generational change, and it's time to build on that foundation so that we, once and for all, can overcome the failures of the past. You have my word, Baltimore, that in my second term, We will continue the generational change we have forged together to fully realize Baltimore's renaissance and do so with the utmost integrity. We will continue addressing gun violence as a public health emergency and focus on those who we know are committing violence and remove them from the streets if they will not change their lives. We will continue to deliver equitable economic opportunities and investment in every neighborhood, not just some. We will continue to wrap our arms around our young people and ensure that the next generation has the tools they need to grow into the best version of themselves so they can push Baltimore into a future that we can't even imagine. We will continue to tackle the issues of vacants and blight and lay the groundwork to solve that crisis once and for all. And stay tuned for a couple weeks, we'll be talking about that. And we will continue building a city government that works for everyone. My passion for our city and our potential has been burned deeply in my soul because of how I grew up and what I know Baltimore is capable of. But I have to admit that now I have an even deeper vigor for this work because just in a few weeks, I'll become a father myself for the first time. I'll be raising my own child right here in Baltimore. And I'll be fighting for my son just as hard as I will for yours because all of Baltimore's children I will treat like they're my own. Baltimore. Baltimore, as long as we continue to move forward, side by side, step by step, nothing can stop us. I ask that you all join us as we continue to pave a new path, a new way forward for Baltimore. I can't do this alone. We are all stakeholders in Baltimore's future. And let's be very clear, that future is on the line because the choice couldn't be more clear. We can have honest and strong leadership that works on behalf of Baltimore's people, or we can have the old way where our leaders were compromised and willing to do anything and sell us out to any interest that advance their personal gain. So join me. Come knock doors with us. Donate. Get a yard sign. And most of all, spread the word. Get your friends, neighbors, and in the words of my mentor, our forever Congressman Elijah Cummings, get Lottie, Dottie, and everybody to join our movement because Baltimore, our renaissance is here. Our future is now. We will move our city forward, not backwards. Thank you all for being here. Let's finish the job of creating a new and better Baltimore for everybody. Thank you very much.